My name is Warren, and I'm one of the pastors here at City Church, and I'm so excited just to continue and close out our series called The Songs of Summer. It's really hard for me to believe, honestly, that summer is coming to an end. We had summer hoops yesterday and at Fairmont Gym, and invited the community in, had a group of boys and girls there, played some basketball, and I was asking and polling all the kids, and I was like, how many of you are ready to go back to school? And some of them were like, yay, and most of them were like, no, and the parents are in the background going, yeah, like they're ready for that moment. But it's been an incredible summer just to spend time together each Sunday in the book of Psalms. And today, our Psalms that we have has much to do with a journey or a road trip per se. Some of you on your road trips are destination people. How many of you, if you're going on a road trip, I don't care if you're going to Walmart or if you're going to Grandma's or if you're going across the state, how many of you are destination people? You're like, get me there now. Like, where are my destination people? Okay. How many of you are journey people? You want to stop. How many of you people are like that? Okay. How many of you have no choice and you're one of those people? You know what I'm talking about? And you have to stop. Okay. I'm right there with you, right? The truth and reality is we all have different experiences when it comes to heading towards destinations in our journey. I can only imagine that today as we all sit here, we've all experienced a space in our life where we couldn't wait to get to somewhere. I remember being a kid and getting to go to grandparents and just truly being excited. And that 8-hour drive, as long as it was, it still just possessed this excitement. So for you, whether it's a road trip to Grandma's or it's a road trip home from a long day at work, or you're on a road trip and you hear those words, I have to go to the restroom. And your response is, I told you to go before we left. Here's something we know. Destinations all have one thing in common. They require a journey. Every destination requires a journey. And along that journey, no matter how short or long, there stands to be difficulties. I can tell you from experience that I've had car trouble from home to work. I've had car trouble before I pulled out of the driveway. I've had it on trips to Savannah to see my family. It seems to sometimes always be inevitable. A destination can be a greatly desired thing, but the journey can sometimes be difficult, removing our hopes from reaching the destination. Now, I have this question for you as we think about how great a destination is and sometimes how difficult a journey can be or the stops we have to make. Is it possible for the journey to be just as good as the destination? Is it possible that the journey can be just as good as the destination? And so in our psalm today, we go to the book of Psalm, chapter 121, and we find the story of a journey towards a destination. But before we dive into this chapter, I kind of want to give you some context. In the book of Psalm, chapter 120, there's a start of these 15 psalms that were sung by Jews who were traveling from their home to Jerusalem to worship God, where the presence of God rested in the temple. And so for 15 songs, we see these songs that they would sing as they journeyed almost always through the valley to the hilltop of Jerusalem, to the temple to worship. Jerusalem spiritually represented the dwelling place of God, so the ascent symbolized moving closer to God's presence. It was a destination that every Jew would take at least 3 times a year for the 3 major festivals. We actually know that Jesus himself would actually make this journey as a child with his family. We see it in Luke chapter 2, verse 41. Now Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. So they would make this journey every year, 3 times a year, where they would have to walk through this valley, and they're looking up to the hills, headed towards Jerusalem to worship, to be called back to these celebrations. Now the question you may have today is, Warren, what does the journey for the Jews heading to Jerusalem have to do with me today? What in the world does that have to do with me today? Similar to this journey is every person's journey today. How is it similar, you may ask? Let's call it what it is. Your life is a journey, right? It's heading towards a destination. Each day, each week, each year, truthfully faster than the one before. And your journey has contained words spoken just like the journey of the Jews. I remember people telling me when I was young, and then I got married, and then we started having kids, and they kept saying, hey, life's just going to go faster. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm in 9th grade, I'm ready to graduate. Before you knew it, I'm graduating high school, and then they were like, okay, college is going to go fast. Yeah, or whatever, I just want to be done. And then I got married, and I guess it's going to go super fast, and we just celebrate 20 years of marriage, and I'm like, holy cow, like life moves. I just gave you my age, okay, guys? I'm really 25. No, I'm not 25, I wish. But it moves fast. And in this journey that we find this nation of Israel, we find something that I think that we can all attest to, something that we have spoken in our journey, whether you're today in high school or middle school, you're in the middle of life, you're in that great space of, you're older and you're enjoying life. We see in Psalm chapter 121 and verse 1, I lift my eyes up to the hills. From where does my help come from? You see the similarity? There's a word that we've all spoken out loud or in our minds or in our hearts on our journey, and it's the word help. Help. Even as I say that word right now and I say help, I think some of you possibly even recall maybe this morning you woke up and you got up this morning and you looked in the mirror and you were like, help. Help. You were on your way here and you felt this feeling of no, I don't want to go this morning. Help. This week you're at work and you're next to that employee and you're just like, help. Kids, you're going back to school. Teachers, you were there this week. Help. I'm believing this morning that you've cried out this word, and right now, even as we say it, some of you are thinking, yes, help. Still not convinced that you maybe have something in common with this journey as they cried this out. The original language in Hebrew for this word help in the Old Testament was written and translates similar to the word succor, which means help in times of hardship or distress. Now, I know I don't have to poll everyone in here to know that everyone in here has been through one of those things, hardship or distress. We have all been there. Everybody's level of how you experience that is different, but in the midst of those things, the truth is we've all called out just like the nation of Israel, and we've said, where does my help come from? Where, in times of hardship or distress, where does it come from when it's financial stress, when it's relational, when it's loss, when it's health, and the list, it goes on and on. So, here's what we need to know. The question for us isn't whether you'll need help, but where can you find it? Because we all can be in a similar space, and we can know this. It's not whether I'll need it, it's where do I find it? Just like the nation of Israel is making this journey surrounded by the hills and mountains, knowing that during the day and during the night there's danger present, and they look up and they say, where does my help come from? The question is not whether you need it, but where can you find it? And let's think for a moment. If I could give you the best help of life's journey, specifically for times of hardship and distress, what would you choose? If you're if you could just right now, the best help I could have would be blank. We find out what the nation of Israel believes that is. And we see this in Psalm 121, verse 1 and 2, what we just read. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? Here it is, my help comes from the Lord. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Whether you're here this morning and you know Jesus, or you're here this morning and you don't know Jesus and you're checking this thing out, we are so glad you're here. But you're like, Warren, that's predictable. We're at church. Yes, the help that we need comes from the Lord. Sure, of course. That's exactly where we knew you were going to go this morning. But there's something that goes a little deeper here that we have to pay attention to. Help comes from the Lord. For the Jews making this trip, it also seemed kind of predictable that they would say this. But there's something big that happens in this last word of this verse. The word used for Lord in this passage in its original language is Jehovah. It's a proper name. We see it over 6,000 times. And its meaning is this: the existing one. And that to them meant he's the one who always was and the one who always will be. He's consistent, he's reliable. I've seen him prove himself. And so when we are making this journey to Jerusalem through the valley, I know that I can say my help comes from the Lord who was, is, and always will be. It's not just as simple as God will help me. It's reliability, provenness, over and over and over again. Let me ask you a question. How does proven help sound today? How does reliable help sound today? How does help that comes from the one who was, is, and will always be sound today? The rest of verse 2, he says, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Sovereign help, the one who created everything, complete power and authority over all creation. This is where they claim the help they need comes from. For some of us here today, we're looking towards our destination and thinking, in the journey we're in, I'll never find the ability to get there because I don't have help that's reliable. Can I tell you today that just like the nation of Israel cries out, you have reliable hope and help. The one who created heaven and earth. Their song they sing, it goes a little deeper, and we find over the next few verses, we find this word specifically. It's the word keep. As we move into verse 3 and we finish this psalm all the way through verse 8, there's this word keep that shows up throughout these verses. It's actually used 6 times in the next 6 verses. The word means to preserve and to convey the promise of God's active care and protection. In other words, what happens with this word keep, it's saying this, that God is near now, not just when trouble comes. You see, the beautiful thing about this journey they're taking is they understand that even as I'm walking through this valley, even as I'm going here, before trouble even comes, God is already here. He is near now. He's not awaiting trouble. He's not awaiting those circumstances in life. He's with you now. He is looking out for you. Talk about some help. Help is already there before it's even needed. And how do we know this? Because they continue to sing this song. In verse 3 and 4, it says this: he will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. This passage, for a moment, it reminds me of a time that me and my family went to Indian Springs. If you've never been to Indian Springs, it's basically in Jackson. It's actually another town, and I forgot what Flovilla, but it's really, Jackson. And Indian Springs is a state park, and Indian Springs has a lake, and it has this little creek that runs down that looks like waterfalls. And we love spending time there. We love going fishing. If you're looking for a great place that's close to get into nature and enjoy things that God's made, it's a beautiful place. And we're out there, and we're walking on this creek that has just little pockets of water and rocks. And so before we get in and we start walking through these rocks, I tell the boys, be careful, it's slippery. Very slippery. Especially there's these ones that have this brown algae on them. If you hit one of those, life is over for you. And so we have this talk, and I've corralled the kid, and we're about to journey into the water and through the rocks. And at this point, Maverick is our youngest, and at this point, I believe he's 5, and I'm like, hey, buddy, so that you have a sure step, hold Daddy's hand. We're going to walk together. And so we're making our way through the creek, and we're stepping on rocks, and he's doing great. I hit one of those rocks, guys. I hit one, and it hit back. And so it was an instant step, and as soon as I did, this is the direction I go. And I got a 5-year-old. He's going to support me. And so I grab him and all of him, and I try to pull myself up. And guess what happened? We both went down. We both were on the floor. I was not a very reliable, sturdy person in that moment. My foot was not sure. This passage tells us that he will not let your foot be moved. Have you ever just had a good slip and thought, man, I wish I would have just had something or someone to hold on to me? You see, these two passages convey just that. There is stability. Your foot will not be moved both day and night. He never sleeps. The Lord who keeps you stable, dependable is He. When is the last time you could say that someone or something has been fully stable at all times? I'm going to be honest with you, I was not a stable dad in that moment. And I can tell you, there's been times, even as a dad, I still haven't been stable in other circumstances. But something I can tell myself, I can tell my kids, there is a stable Father, the Lord, who is stable and will not let their foot be moved both day and night. He never slumbers. He's always with us, ever present. God is more stable than anything or anyone because His hand never lets go of you. Not once does His hand let go. God provides stability. He provides stability. He will not let your foot be moved. The psalm continues, and they continue to sing, God's stable. But in verse 5 and 6, they say, the Lord is your keeper. There's our word again. The Lord is your shade on your right hand, and the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. I think in this moment in life, we all have a good understanding of the power of shade. It's been hot. I saw somewhere yesterday that someone posted on social media, and they put, Georgia has relocated, and they put the map of Georgia next to the sun. You know, they were just like, we're here, guys, and it's only going to get hotter. And so we know the power of shade. You can get in shade, and it can cool the temperature up to 25 degrees. Like, it can truly provide a strength. In this passage, it says, the Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade on your right hand. In this time in history, the right hand was really referred to as the working hand. Now, all my lefties out there, we believe you're hard workers too, okay? Don't worry about it. But it was just common. We're probably most all right-handed. It was just the working hand. And so this idea is that the Lord provides strength through the shade that He provides, and the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. These two verses encompass the full circle of our day. When we work, when we come home, when we go to sleep, it's that full circle. God will give you the strength you need at the right place and the right time. God provides strength. So here they are marching on their journey, and they're heading to Jerusalem, and they're surrounded by the mountains, and they're saying, God, you're stable. God, you are strength. But they're not done yet. Verse number 7 and 8, the Lord will keep you. There it is again, from all evil. He will keep your life. Just that right there is He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. You know, let's be true and let's be honest for a second. Sometimes most of the help that we get is circumstantial and time enclosed. It has an ending. The help that we want, the help that we receive, it has an ending. This passage ends with a very important word. It's forever. These two verses, they give us security, perfect security, even against all evil, and perpetual security, day by day and for all eternity. Man, know this today, that God provides security. He provides security. He's stable. He's strength. And He provides security. You see, God is near now. He's providing stability, strength, and security. The Jews making their trip to where they would worship as people at the temple knew that God was with them already in their journey. Even as they were running to the presence of God that was there in the temple before Jesus came, and now we know that Jesus is here with us, right? They knew that God wasn't just there in the temple, He was with them now. And there's always been this working of man trying to figure out how to make the journey of life better. And in 1943, Science came in and recognized some needs that we have in our journey. They published, specifically, Maslow published the theory of human motives. It's the basic needs that we have. And right on the screen, you'll see a diagram of this, right? And it starts from the bottom and moves its way up. And so science came along and that we recognize these needs that everybody has on the journey in life to have a fulfilled life. And so it's the physiological needs, which are just the bare necessities of life. Like this is survival. Food, water, sleep, shelter, safety needs, security, employment, resources, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Now, this was in the 40s, so I realized that today, the bottom and what we need most is actually really a little bit different. It's actually Wi-Fi. Let's just be honest for a second. Like, if you show up somewhere that you've never been before, your first question is not, hey, how are you? It's like, what's the Wi-Fi password? You know, like, that's just a reality. Okay, that's not true. Let's go back to this. And so science recognizes. They recognize that there's needs that we all possess. There's these basic needs, and then up against that, you're going to see it, is safety needs. The idea behind this theory is that there seems to be needs that help you achieve satisfaction in life. The base is that food, belonging, safety, self-esteem. But after survival, just food, shelter, water, the first thing science said was like, you need safety and security. Because here's the thing that they recognize that as followers of Jesus, we know that as we head towards a destination that we need help. We need it. And there's only one source of true help. You and I, we need help on the journey. There's only one place that's truly consistent, truly constant. Each of us on our journey, and let's be honest, we all have one similar destination. It's not one that we all want to talk about. It's not one that you have conversations about with your friends, but we all have an end to this journey. And the end of that is either life with Jesus in eternity or life separated from Him. And so when we think about help and we think about what it is required and what we need, the real question isn't need, but source. The real question today is do you need it? The real question is, what is your source? In 2008, which seems like an eternity ago, my wife and I, we had our first child. And in that process of having our first child, right before that, we actually bought our first home. And also in 2008 and 2009, some of you can remember this, our economy just hit its worst in a long time. And in that time, in that moment in our lives, and in a new home and a new child and an economy that was changing for the worst, my wife and I both had impacts to our job, to the point where we were like, I don't know how we're going to do this. And so here we are in our home with a new baby, and I remember the day that a piece of mail came in, and it was an unexpected bill. Like, bills are already bad enough, but an unexpected one is like top tier. So we open up the bill, and we pull it out, and we look at it, and we both know that it's not going to be possible. And so we do the human thing that we do, and we're like, okay, what if we do this or we do that? And we decide not to do this, and then we got done with it, and we're like, none of that works. We're going to lose. And so we fell to our knees. Because before that, I'll be honest, we kind of forgot really where our help would come from. Fell to our knees, and there we are, and we say, God, we cannot do this. It doesn't make sense on paper. It doesn't make sense in our minds. It doesn't make sense in our heart. We can't work more to do this. We got a new baby. It was a couple days later, and I come home, and I go to the mailbox again, and I open it up, and there's an envelope again, and it looks like one of those things again. And so before I even get in the house, I'm starting to just honestly get a little emotional. I get in the house, and I start to peel back that sticky envelope, tearing it, and just thinking, I already know. I'll be doggone if it actually wasn't a check written to us from the hospital. And they said, "We're sorry, we charged you too much." That doesn't happen, guys. And the crazy thing is, it was the exact amount of what we owed. Now, I want to be careful for a moment, because what I just gave you, you're just like, "Oh, I want that kind of help." Yeah. And can I tell you that He can do that? He has every capability. But can I tell you that 6 months later, my wife and I sat in an office and we signed our home over to the bank. We lost our house. We couldn't do it. It was heartbreaking. I'm going to be honest with you. It was the home where we had our first child. It's where he took his first steps. It was his first Christmas. But that story of that envelope that came in the mail that day, I knew that He was still present. We would move 6 more times in 10 years. But the God that was with me the day I opened up that check was the same God that was with us every time we moved. He was constant. Never once did I fall into a place where I couldn't remember that story. And I could reflect back on the truth that I could do all I could to be the source of help in my life. I could search for all the things in the world to be the source of help in my life. My wife and I could have another home and think that, okay, this is going to help. But all I know is this today, that the song that they sang a long time ago, it still rings true. In Psalm 121, verse 1 through 2, "I lift my eyes to the hills." Today, there you are. You're in your space and you're looking up and you're saying this, "Where does my help come from?" Today, I can tell you that just as they sang, "Your help, my help," it comes from the Lord. The journey can be just as good as the destination, because the one you're heading towards is with you now. Even when you move 6 times in 10 years, even when you lose something, He's still with you. So today, here's where I'd love to move us. As the band comes, we're going to sing a song, and the song is called "The Goodness of God." And I'm going to be honest with you, that can be a very difficult song to sing, because the truth is this. Some of you are here this morning and you just feel like nothing is good. How can I sing of God being good when I feel like nothing is good? Here's the beautiful thing. Today, even though maybe you feel like it isn't, the things that surround you, you feel aren't good, can I tell you that He is looking out today for you? That He is there to help? That He is willing and He is stable and He is secure and He's got strength, that if you would look your eyes up and say, "Where's my help coming?" He would say, "I'm here. I was there the whole time. I haven't left. Even when it was good, I was there. My goodness still shines through."